Well, that's quite an intro there. I mean, that's very funky, which is nice because the four of us, if I could describe us in one adjective, it would be funky.
I don't want to brag, but I did it myself, so
it's very funky.
Humble brag,
bringing the funk. Yeah, no, I think between the four of us, we'd add up to about 1/3 funk.
That's fair.
I think it's fair.
You're doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, Jeff. in that 1/3.
Yeah,
that's very sad. Master. Very sad. Yeah, that's I've been accused of a lot. That's not one of them. But I'll take it. All right, welcome back. Primetime Props, Week 14. Joined, as always, of course, by Justin Carlucci, Keith Eister, and Justin Bales. It's been last time I saw you guys was pre-Thanksgiving. I trust everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. I mean, of course, everyone knew those 4 games, the 3 Thanksgiving games, and then all underdogs, all upsets. Nobody knows nothing. Onward and upward, right?
It's exactly how I felt after that 48 hours of football. That's exactly how I felt. And then you had the Bears game on Black Friday, Keith Eister.
That's what I'm saying. So. Yeah.
I am so hesitant to buy in because the moment I do it, we're going to go get our ass kicked in Green Bay this week. But it was a nice win.
We're gonna need a little Bales Eister side wager on this Packers Bears action game. I mean, come on,
Yeah, I mean, you let me know. I'll wager. I feel good about Green Bay this week. No, I feel like the Bears are like the one team that how do I put it? They're the joke that you buy into because if they have 4 wins, you're not like thinking twice about it. The way that they're winning games, if they walk away with 4 wins, you're not even thinking twice. But they literally just dominated Philly, and you're now looking at them and you're like, this team might be lucky and pretty good. You know what I like? It's hard to just be like, oh, that's a lucky team anymore. Whereas I don't know. I still think that Green Bay is the better team. But I mean, we've talked at length about this in our group chat. But
yeah, we've had some private discussions behind the scenes, obviously. But all I'll say is this is a little bit different of a team than the one that was barely beating the Raiders and coming back against the Bengals and those type of games. For one, they fixed the offensive line completely. Trapolo is playing awesome at left tackle. The rest of the line was already pretty good. So it's the best offensive line they've had all season and in many years. And the defense has been like massively injured all season long. Jalen Johnson is now back. That's an all-pro corner. They picked up CJ Gardner-Johnson for nothing. Kyler Gordon is back, who's been hurt all season. TJ Edwards is potentially coming back this week. Like, the defense is getting healthy, and there is some talent there. I know we've been picking on the Bears defense all season long, and it has been atrocious, but there's some pieces there now. So the offensive line is fixed, and I think they're just going to want to run the ball a ton. We'll get into that for sure. And then the defense, I don't think it's a complete joke anymore. So I'm not saying that they're better than Green Bay. I still think Green Bay is a top 2-3 team in the entire league. But the Bears they're inching closer to that discussion for sure.
The funniest part about the NFL is that Chicago can walk into Green Bay, win this game, and I think all 4 of us would be like, yeah, that's this season, isn't it? Like, no one's going to be that shocked. For as good as even like I think Green Bay is, and I know you just said, top 2 to 3, which is, very high regard. There's no team that you're like, yeah, that's the team. That's like, they don't lose obvious games. And like, there's just none of them. I mean, the Rams, we were all like singing the Rams praises. I think the entire world was like, all right, well, there's one good team in the NFL and it's the Rams. And then Carolina becomes the second. The Carolina now has the biggest underdog win, which was against the Rams of the entire season, and the second biggest underdog win, which was against Green Bay of the entire season. And meanwhile, they also can't beat, like a bottom 5 team because some days Bryce Young just decides he's like not even a high school quarterback.
I mean, like the state of the NFL, you kind of nailed it. I've been kind of pounding the table on this. Is like each team has some kind of flaw, and the talent gap is so tight that there isn't just a dominant team. I mean, I feel like, 5, 10 plus years ago, there's always like two teams that every facet of the game is elite. We don't have that. I mean, there's so many problems to solve, and there's so many chess games, and everybody has analytics and everybody has tablets that some of the micro edges that these teams had are hard to find now. I mean, everything gets exploited, which makes this so maddening from week to week. I mean, is there a good team in the NFL? I don't even know, but it's a good time to suck. I mean, you just mentioned the Panthers. It didn't take them long to catch up to not only be relevant, but they could be a playoff team. A year and a half of Canales. I mean, they were 2-15 2.5 years ago. Last year, they won 5 games. Now they're 7-6. Like you said, just knocked off the alleged only good team in the NFL in the Rams. And they still have a ton of flaws too. No team is perfect. So of course, you look at my Titans and you look at like the Raiders and the Giants and the Browns, but like, is any team really that far off? If you hit on a couple of free agents and you hit on, a draft pick or two, and maybe you get the right coaching in there. I mean, people were kind of out on Canales after, the 5-12 year, after he was such a big part of what he helped Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay kind of get back on track and be one of the favorites in the NFC. Sometimes it takes more than just 1 year. And once you plug enough holes, you can kind of be relevant again. I think that's a trend we might see for another year or two. Because right now, every team is a little suspect in one area or two. And I think the playoffs are going to be insane. I just think we're going to see, if Thanksgiving was kind of alluding to what we're going to see in January, it's going to be a treat, right? A bunch of competitive teams, tight Vegas lines, good football. It's going to be wild. I think it's a good year to take some underdogs. And just lastly, I mean, some of the quote unquote best elite tier 1 quarterbacks in the league. It's not just a league anymore that if you have a quarterback, you're not going to solve all your problems. I mean, we're talking Patrick Mahomes, who might miss the playoffs. They have a fantastic head coach, a good defensive coordinator, some weapons, and they might miss the playoffs. What will national media do without talking Patrick Mahomes for 2 months? They'll still talk about him, right? They'll be out of the playoffs. It'll be, what's wrong with Kansas City? What's Andy Reid going to do? Is Patrick Mahomes want out, right? It's going to get idiotic, probably. But what I'm saying is the best quarterbacks in the league might miss the playoffs. So I don't know. What says you? I guess I did a lot of Jordan Love slandering, but I guess you can win a Super Bowl with Jordan Love in this style of the NFL. And that sounded really bad. Jordan Love is a fine quarterback.
He accepts your apology.
What was that?
The big thing, I said Jordan Love accepts your apology. I'm assuming he watches this show. He heard it.
I wasn't sure if I needed to or not.
He started throwing the 2-yard touchdowns that Stafford was getting that we were talking about. Now he's up there. The big thing in the NFL, and I mean, anyone can say that I'm wrong on this, but you just need a coach. It's when you look at all of the good teams, you can basically exclude, truthfully, Nick Sirianni, I think is awful, an awful head coach. You can make arguments that Mike Vrabel does some dumb things, but I don't think you generally would make an argument that he's a bad coach. I think he's still a pretty good coach. And when you look at the best teams in the league, there are teams that no one thought that just have really sharp minds, like Canales, smart. Liam Cohen, Jacksonville tries to lose every single week, and Cohen's still pulling out wins here. Indy, no one saw that coming. Elite head coach doing it. It's all the NFL has almost exclusively become, how good's your head coach? All right, then you're a playoff team.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, let me share these numbers with you because I wanna just get your take on the NFC East. You're a Jersey guy. The Giants are one of those teams I said are a little far right now, but you have Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors. You don't have him. I mean, I could see them being competitive in a year or two. But the Eagles, right? The Eagles are a big talking point of the NFL right now. This is a tweet you might have saw. It's from Thomas Peterson, who's featured in a bunch of stuff from twitter.com. But this was the post-egging of the offensive coordinator of his house, which honestly, the Eagles have been so bad. They could have done worse than eggs, honestly. So here's some quick numbers. The Eagles offense, according to Mr. Peterson, has the highest hitch route rate, the lowest cross rate, They're bottom 5 in pre-snap motion, bottom 2 in play action fakes, and A.J. Brown lines up in the slot less than any other receiver in the NFL. That is fucking coaching malpractice at its finest, boys. I mean, how bad at the professional level do you have to be at calling plays? Here I am, armchair play caller, right? I don't know shit in the grand scheme of things. But, like, that is such a disservice to the talent on that team. And, that's just crazy stuff to me. I don't get the Eagles, Jeff, but I think it starts with the top and the guys on the sidelines.
Yeah, I don't think that you could look at the Eagles as a serious contender right now, the way they're playing. I mean, again, my only thought is that they've been playing checkers, and waiting to start playing chess. But I don't buy it anymore. Based on maybe they were playing vanilla a little bit because they didn't want to give anything away. But I think they just look old, tired, bored, and not good right now. But again, in 8 weeks, if they're in the Super Bowl, everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL." Right? We're all gonna be very smart in 8 weeks right now. But it does have the NFL. I think to recap what everyone's been saying here, it's living up to its any given Sunday reputation this year, which makes our life all the more difficult.
As bad as the Eagles look right now, would you be that shocked if they were in the Super Bowl? Honestly,
no. I mean, I was looking at the playoff picture the other day. I'm like, yeah, I could see this. Oh, this team. Oh, well, yeah, no, this team. Yeah, I could see this one too. And that's only the teams that are currently in the playoffs right now. You look at the teams outside the bubble, like the Lions can't get hot and make a run. I mean, even the Chiefs, who I've been down on all year, but. I don't know. All right, we got
the Lions
did
the Eagles a huge favor, by the way, because the Cowboys were coming.
Yeah,
that's a good football team right now.
Yeah. The NFC East all of a sudden looks like it might be the best division in football next year. If the Commanders come back healthy and the Giants come back healthy and the Eagles right the ship by hiring an offensive coordinator, and Dallas looks like they're going to re-sign Pickens. See Pickens, he had him and Richard Sherman going at it.
That's also shocking.
Yeah, I mean it's all fun stuff. All right, let's get to the games. We got 11 of them to get through. First game on the slate we're going to talk about is the Jets, home underdogs. You're getting 3 points. Miami's coming to town, 41.5. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age here, but I remember the old days when every Jet-Dolphin game was a shootout and you never knew what was going to happen. I kind of feel like that has the possibility here. I feel like the Jets are playing loose. I feel like the Dolphins have the Mr. I still can't pronounce his mother's last H-N. I got it. And I know Bales, you like him. So Bales, we'll start with you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, to be 100% honest, I don't think it's 100% the best spot. But if you're just taking Devin Achane's rushing yards, they're still set in the 80s, which is not super low, but it's also not that high. The big thing that I want here is that they're in the position where they're just let's give him the ball 20, 25 times. Well, when you have a running back that has 4.3 speed, he's so fast, eventually the volume breaks one. I had to look at it, but over his past 4 or 5 games, he's consistently been in the 20 to 25 carries. And he also is just breaking 20-yard plus runs basically every game. That's not even his upside. He just needs to make one more man miss and he can go for 60 and a touchdown. New York's defense isn't as good as it was. They obviously trade away Quinn Williams. They're not that bad yet though. They will give up some big plays. They will give up some big games, but they're not really that bad. The big thing is just that if you're giving someone who's as talented and as fast, those are the main 2 things that we want here as Achan, he's going to eventually break one. And I'm assuming that's going to be the case again this week. And when you get, 20 plus carries or 20 plus yards on one carry, an 80 total just isn't all that difficult to hit.
It's kind of like throwing rocks at a glass house or whatever that analogy is. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Eventually thing's going to break down. You have a guy who has speed like that. Kind of reminds me of when the Titans had CJ2K back in the day. It was like, just keep feeding him. Eventually, he's going to hit the home run. I mean,
yeah, that's what people are like. Well, he'll go for 1, 2, 3. He will, because he's not like this ridiculously big back that's going to drag guys along the entire time. He's also going to go for 70 on 1 touch though, and like that's mainly what we're looking for here.
I'll jump in the middle real quick, and then I'll pass the baton. I'll go right back to my boy AD Mitchell, who was maybe my best call of the year with the ladder I ran on him last week. But last 2 weeks, 31% target share, 64% air yard share. I mean, he's not even at 50 yards right now. I don't even know. I don't think Josh Reynolds is coming back, but even if he did, I don't think it matters. Like, give me AD Mitchell at this number again. Probably run a ladder again and see what happens. We got the full Tyrod Taylor experience going on again.
Anything you like, Keith?
Nothing that I love. I do kind of like some Breece Hall, though. Miami's one of the worst run defenses in football. I think the Jets' offense is much more competent with Tyrod Taylor under center. So I like Breece Hall rushing yards. I believe the number's 68.5 out there even. I like the over on that. It's going to be a close game, I think, either way. So give me some Breece Hall.
Yeah, I like this game. I mean, the Dolphins are, and I'm gonna sound like a 12-year-old, or low key playing for their playoff lives here. Only a 1% chance according to everything I look at. But I think they've won 4 out of their last 5, and their schedule is really soft going forward until the last game of the season against the Patriots. The Jets are playing. I feel like the Jets are playing much looser than they have at any point under Aaron Glenn now that the quarterback situation is settled. And I don't know. I feel like this game could. I like the over. I'll leave it there. All right, let's go to Atlanta, where the Falcons are 6.5-point home dogs against the visiting Seahawks. 44.5 is the total. Nobody had much to say here, so I'm going to throw JSN right into the hopper here. All I keep seeing in all the in all the podcasts and DFS stuff I'm listening to is JSN versus single high coverage. He averages 18,000 yards per snap. Falcons play it at the highest rate. So where is JSN? I'm not sure. He kind of bombed last week against the Vikings, but that was a weird game because the Seahawks defense was just all over the field. I feel like this is a bounce back spot in a dome with Seattle. Atlanta, not a great team, obviously. I don't know. I think going back to JSN here, I think he's the new Puka Nacua. Does he have all his limbs? Yes. Let's bet the overs.
I'm cool with that. The only concern that I have, and I don't know, I don't generally have much concern with JSN because he's just so good. But the only concern that I do really have is that Atlanta gives up a good amount of rushing yards to running backs, and Seattle is the kind of team that, I mean, they could have had a historic season with JSN. I'm not saying that his season hasn't been incredible, but they could have pretty easily got him to 2,000 plus yards, and they just don't care. They would rather run the ball 30 times a game. They basically are splitting their carries. You can't feel good about either running back. I think we can all agree that Walker is better, more upside, but I don't know if their game plan is they want to keep his legs kind of fresh because of the injury history. So they're giving Charbonnet just such a big role. I don't know what's going on there, but I do think that they're going to be able to run against Atlanta, and the defense is it's been so nasty. They just keep getting up 20 plus points in the first half. And every week you're like, they can't do that again. And then every week they just do it again. And the talent for JSN is so good. I don't know. I struggle because it feels like Puka's going to get 10 plus targets no matter what happens. McVay will just keep throwing him the ball. Whereas JSN, it feels like Seattle is sometimes just comfortable handing the ball off. And if that works, they just don't throw it that much. I think he had 4 targets last week.
Yeah. Last week was a ridiculous game, obviously, but it's another part of the reason. I just go, my lizard brain's he didn't do it last week, so he's going to do it this week.
I mean, that is a thing too. He's
I know
one of the best receivers in the NFL. They open not openly, but they basically chose not to give him a huge role last week. It would make sense that they go back and like it's not a squeaky wheel type situation where like he's mad about it and whatnot, but it does make sense to go back to him and just be like, all right, let's get him some yards this week. Like, no, I fully get it. I think that he's completely in play.
Keith, is there anything in this game that you like?
Nothing for me. On the Falcons side, no Drake London again, but which pass catcher can we actually trust? The Seahawks are like the best run defense in the NFL. So I see nothing here on the Falcons side. I was trying to fade either Bijan or Allgeier is really the one I wanted to fade, but his number's down at 20. That's like nothing. He can still do that even against a really good defense. So
I mean, what about Bijan? What about Bijan receiving in a game like this where you expect the Seahawks to have the lead?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't know what the number was. I was definitely looking under on his rushing, but that's all the way down to like mid 60s now. The receiving number is 35 and a half. Yeah, I'm seeing a 35 even.
Yep, Fanatics. Yeah, it's pretty low. I like that receiving yards call. The JSN thing maybe is a matter of taking his first quarter receiving yards number again if you think it gets ugly. You guys nailed that a couple of weeks ago. I mean, then again, also, you could have made the same case about the Titans game, where just play with the lead, run the ball. Seattle, I mean, you nailed it, Bill. Seattle plays at the highest neutral game script run rate in the NFL. So, I mean, doesn't get much more run heavy than that. It literally can't. That being said, they're a play action shot offense, and he could pick up 50 of those 90 yards on one play, and that's what we saw against Tennessee. Then he absolutely nuked that number. So, yeah, I mean, it's just such a week-to-week thing that, he didn't do it last week, he'll do it this week kind of thing. I just think everything varies so much from week to week. So bet on the talent. And if he did go crazy last week, this number would probably push 100 receiving yards this week. So perhaps the 90 and a half or whatever it is a bit of a gift this week. And I think that's a good call. So, yeah, and if you like JSN, run it back with that Bijan receiving yards number. You could get good odds on that when you put them together, and that game script could totally make sense. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Tampa. The Bucs, 8.5-point favorites over the visiting Saints. Keith, Devin Neal was on your list. I'm curious to know if it's an over and under here.
It is an over, but it is not a rushing yards over. We know how to attack these Buccaneers. They are awesome against the run. They struggle with receiving backs out of the backfield, and Devin Neal has some talent as a receiving back. The number I have right here, 16.5 receiving yards for Devin Neal. He's played 80% of the snaps the last 2 weeks, 12 targets in those 2 weeks. And like I mentioned, the Buccaneers have given up the most yards to backs out of the backfield. So love Devin Neal over 16.5 receiving yards.
Well, the Saints are getting a lot of love. I'm listening to some of the DFS because they're very concentrated now. All of a sudden, they're low cost concentrated, but this is, you never know what you're going to get when you on the road in Tampa. I'm not loving much out of New Orleans. Anyone else have anything that they like in this game? Just Bells?
Yeah, I think that's one of the sharpest calls of the week by Keith. I almost sent that in myself. Two, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Tyler Shuck, his passing yards actually don't look that bad. We know they're a pass funnel. We know the Saints will let him throw the ball 40 times. He doesn't need to be that good, and he's proven to be NFL competent, if that makes sense. Like he's not a long-term starter, in my opinion. But he can, rack up some yards. And if we assume that the Bucs are playing from ahead, I guess the Saints are playing from behind, like he's just going to be airing it out. They do have weapons. Neal can make guys miss out of the backfield. We still have Chris Olave there. Jawan Johnson is good. I even think that you can take like Devon Vele. He's playing so many snaps now. And he had 8 targets last week, I believe. His yards are set, I think, in the mid-20s. Mid-30s, maybe. It's
mid-30s.
Yeah, it's. I don't feel great about Vele, but I do think that if you just want to play Tyler Shuck, it's not a bad spot for him. It's like one of his better spots, and he did just go for 250 the other week, so I think that it's reasonable. I wouldn't say it's like even close to my favorite, but I do think that you can take a shot there if you want.
We know the play volume is going to be there for the Saints.
I like Chris Godwin. He played 66% of the snaps. Anything under 40 just feels too low to me. When you look at the Saints defensive stuff, they have allowed the second least amount of targets to players lined up in the slot this year, which normally would be a red flag. But you have to remind yourself, this is such a small sample size game we play. What is 13 games in the grand scheme of things? I mean, look at some of the teams they've played. They played the Cardinals. They've played the Bills, are a low volume pass attack. They played the Giants. They played the Patriots, another low volume pass attack. The Bears spread it around. So, I'm not really buying in that the Saints are some gauntlet against the slot. And I think if you're going to give me 75% of Chris Godwin this week, I'm going to take 38.5 or whatever it is all day. I didn't realize that number was that low, but that's part of the reason why we do the show, because it makes me dive into stuff a little more. So give me Chris Godwin in this spot. No doubt about it.
All right, let's go over to Minnesota. Oh, God. Vikings, 1.5 point underdogs against the visiting Commanders, 43.5. Jaden Daniels back. I guess I'm assuming McCarthy's back, which is everyone. This is what a disaster this game looks like on paper. The Vikings defense still playing great. I don't know. Nobody had anything to say in the pregame. I got nothing to say on this game. This is not. This is one of those. Will it be 3-0, 43-40? I don't know. You tell me. Anyone have anything to say?
Yeah. Quickly.
Silence. Oh well, we got somebody. Go ahead.
Just shout out to my boy 8, Marcus Mariota. Deserved to win that friggin' game against Denver. Dude balled out. And that last two, I love going for 2 at the end there last week. That was last week, right? The weeks are blending together. I mean, it was there. Great play by Bonito. I mean, that was the right play call. Good execution. Just Bonito made the better plays. Fantastic player. Again, did you have Marcus Mariota throwing for 290 and change on your bingo card against the Denver Broncos? I would say most people reasonably would say no, and they'd be lying to you if they said yes. So feel free to be creative on your stance, ladies and gentlemen. I think that Marcus Mariota performance against the Broncos pretty much, stamps that one. So in terms of this game, no, I'm good. But I need to give my boy Mariota some flowers for making that team competent last week. Again, are the Broncos good? Hell if I know. Their offense looks terrible, and people are clamoring for a Super Bowl run. And it could happen because nobody's good. But I think that was another feather in the cap of who's actually good in this league when the Commanders and Mariota almost beat the Broncos last week.
I hope the Vikings win. I hope McCarthy throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns so everyone's head can explode. That would be that's what I'm hoping for out of this game.
It's an awesome spot. The Commanders' defense is awful.
Yeah.
We've seen him.
Right.
We've seen this before.
I guess just quickly, as two guys who follow the NFC North very closely, did you think this would be as much of an abomination as it's been with McCarthy and company? And are you buying?
No, nobody did.
I bet before the season, I bet McCarthy over. It was like 3,400 passing yards or something. I bet him over. Which, granted, I don't like
throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
It's hard to blame you.
Are we going to pretend like we thought Sam Darnold was that good? We watched Darnold fizzle out for years. And then O'Connell was just like, hey, guys, check this out. I'm really good with quarterbacks. He's done it over and over and over. I think it's a testament to just how bad McCarthy is right now. We even saw Carson Wentz go in there and be competent. And the dude hasn't been good in 10 years. I thought McCarthy... I didn't like McCarthy coming out of college. I thought that it was a bad draft pick. I thought it was way too high. I thought he was overrated. I also thought that virtually anyone can play quarterback in O'Connell's offense with Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson. Aaron Jones, he's not a great running back at this point, but he's still one of the better receiving ones. There's so many weapons that no, I didn't think this level of McCarthy was going to even be possible to happen.
Is it possible to chalk the Sam Darnold thing up when you look at how many things need to go right for a quarterback to even be pretty good at this level? I mean, he spent 3 years with the Jets and 2 with Carolina in some of the worst scenarios you could probably draw up for a young quarterback to succeed. Coaching the carousels of coordinators and coaches and dog shit cultures, as organizations. Yeah, granted, it took almost 10 years, but it makes me really wonder how many other quarterbacks were just in multiple bad situations and what could have been with some of them, right? I mean, God, I'm hoping Cam Ward is one of them. We'll see. Even Bryce
Well,
Young
it makes sense.
Here.
It makes all the sense in the world. You're taking these, great players, objectively great players, and they're the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks, and they're going to shitty situations, and it's hard. And I'm old enough to remember the days when you did not quarterbacks sat on the bench for years before they got a chance to start. I don't care if they were the first pick in the draft. Most quarterbacks would not be handed the reins the first year. They'd watch and they'd learn. That's not the case now. And so, yeah, it does. So you almost can't be surprised when these older quarterbacks, quote, older quarterbacks who struggled in their first few years come back, the Darnolds, the Mariotas, right? And look like Jacoby Brissett, and look like decent quarterbacks, right? They've matured, And again, if I'm McConnell or O'Connell or whatever, I'm looking at Jameis Winston. I'm looking at Brissett. I'm looking at these guys and saying, man, if I only had one of these guys this year, we'd be Super Bowl contenders.
The thing about the NFL is just they don't. Everyone's like, oh my God, how do you scout so bad? They don't really miss that bad on talent very often. There's two keys for quarterbacks to be good. Number one is the offense that surrounds you. Are you in a good spot? If you are, it's so much easier to be good. And number two is basically their attitude. Johnny Manziel didn't fizzle out because he wasn't talented. He fizzled out because he watched no film. Like he said it in his documentary. There's guys who just don't actually want to play football. They don't want to study. And some are good enough to do it. Don't get me wrong. There's some that don't need to do a ton of extra work, but the best ones do a ton of extra work. And the number one thing you can just go look at is Kyle Shanahan. The dude will take any quarterback. And a couple of years ago, I took some heat for it, which I mean, rightfully so. It's a pretty hot take. But if you put Sam Howell in the same position that Brock Purdy was in, you have basically the same quarterback. It's just Howell now has the big contract and Purdy doesn't. If you moved Purdy and put him to Washington where Sam Howell was, Purdy doesn't get the huge deal and whatnot. It was just their situations. And I'll stand by that. I'll stand heavy by that. I'm sure there's people watching that are going to be like, this guy is an absolute idiot. But it's almost all situational. It's not a coincidence that Green Bay's quarterbacks constantly sit behind one of the best in the league and then turn into one of the best in the league. Everyone complains that they waste a first-round pick, but they waste a first-round pick for 15 years of good quarterback play. I don't know. I think sitting quarterbacks is way smarter than throwing Cam Ward into. Granted, who's he going to sit and learn behind? You know what I mean? But I think that's the better route to go, honestly.
The counterpoint to that is just the roster construction of it. There's no better way to get an edge than a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Oh yeah,
that's why they get thrown into the fire, I think.
Nowadays. Yeah. Well, it's the risk reward of that. The say 10% of quarterbacks that hit. Now you have a legit Super Bowl window there, versus the 90% that miss, and now all of a sudden you've wasted you get a 5-year deal. You waste at minimally 4 years of that before you can move on to the next aspect. This was Minnesota's window, and with McCarthy ruining it, I don't know how quick Minnesota's getting their next window, and it's going to be tough unless they decide. I don't know,
trade Jefferson for a couple of first rounders, and maybe you just kick off the rebuild that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I generally view that the risk is not worth the reward of even just sitting on 1 year, because then you still have the 4 years on the rookie contract, obviously with the first year or the 5th year option. And like Mahomes was the perfect scenario for him. It's we shouldn't be shocked that he came when everyone acts like Mahomes was this can't miss prospect. He wasn't he wasn't really even that considered for the first quarterback. If we're being serious, it just wasn't.
Actually, if that's the case, I might be the minority, because I actually was kind of very surprised that they had the balls to, get rid of all that collateral. And Alex Smith was playing well. It was a good football team, I was happy to be wrong about that. That surprised me. That was pretty cool what they did. I bet you there's some Falcons fans watching this and be like, "Yeah, it didn't freaking work out for us yet."
The
again,
Falcons are the other coin there.
I have to tell a lot of Bears friends that Patrick Mahomes wasn't even in the conversation for the Bears. It was Deshaun Watson was the other pick instead of Mitchell Trubisky. Like those were the consensus two top quarterbacks in his class.
Anyway, circle us back here, Jeff.
Yeah, that's our
yeah. Well, we've been tangenting a little bit today. It's late in the season. We're allowed to tangent. This game shapes up as a fun one. Jaguars 1.5-point home underdogs, which I'm a little surprised. Colts are coming to town, 46.5 total. Everyone's got something to say about this game. I know. Bales, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I like stuff on both sides. One, Daniel Jones passing yards. Jacksonville is so bad against the pass. I like Jones in a pretty good spot here. And then I think you can go Jonathan Taylor receiving yards. We've seen him against bad defenses against running backs out of the backfield. He can really, really dominate. His numbers aren't all that high. And then B, Tyler Warren receiving yards, just because Jacksonville is one of the worst teams in the NFL against tight ends. Obviously, Tyler Warren comes with a ton of upside. I think that you can even basically pair all three of those together to get a good spot. You get some correlation there. And then on the bring back, Indy's pretty bad against wide receivers. Jacoby Myers has just immediately stepped into a very big role. I have no idea what Jacksonville is doing to completely ruin Brian Thomas. But, I mean, for the time being, Jacoby Myers looks like the guy here. And he's set only at 50, it's right around 50 yards, isn't it?
51 and a half, 50 and a half.
Yeah. So I think that Jacoby Myers is good there. I also think that Brenton Strange is fine because Indy's also really bad against tight ends. But I don't want to double dip into this Jacksonville offense in this type of game. And if I'm going one of the two, I prefer Myers.
Keith?
I'm right with Bales on that. I like the Jacoby Myers call quite a bit. Huge role for him. I don't know what's going on with Brian Thomas Jr. either, but he's just not the dude this year. And Myers looked awesome last week. He played almost every snap, running a ton of routes. I think it's clear that Myers is the number one here.
Yeah. Luch, anything that catches your eye?
Yeah. I'll tell you what's wrong with Brian Thomas. It's Trevor Lawrence. He ranks 40th in adjusted completion percentage, and he's 35th in yards per attempt. The guy sucks. I mean, it's just, I don't know. You're going to give him Liam Cohen. You're going to give him all these weapons. I mean, okay, jury's still out on Liam Cohen, I guess, right? Young guy. But, I mean, he's had Doug Peterson was there, and he was a proven quarterback, whisperer. I don't know. I just, a lot of people thought Trevor Lawrence was a can't-miss prospect. You can miss. And, again, maybe he's a guy on a second go-around will figure something out. But, they've done a lot of good things to help him. For sure. I mean, it's definitely not at, it's not failing due to lack of the front office not spending and putting skill players in the right places. I don't know. I think the Brian Thomas thing is more of a Trevor Lawrence thing, and the guy just loves Parker Washington. I don't know what else to say at this point. I do like Brenton Strange. He's sneaky good. I was really disappointed when he got hurt. I think he was on the verge of breaking out. I think he was going to finish the year very strong. Perfect low ADOT guy for Trevor Lawrence to pepper, 5-6 targets at a game. Was kind of hoping his receiving yards line would be a little bit lower. But in terms of DFS and stuff like that, I'm super interested in Brenton Strange.
I was a can't miss prospect. My first published piece in journalism won some New Jersey's Society of Professional Journalists top prize, and that was in 1997. Yeah. I'm waiting for my second award. Hasn't come in.
Hey, at least you have one.
It's coming. Don't worry.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, let's go to Baltimore. Ravens 5.5-point favorites over the Steelers. This is a classic AFC North battle. Bales, I'm gonna start with you. Kenny Gainwell is, as Andy Reid might say, is tickling your tonsils, huh?
Dude, I hate that I'm on Kenneth Gainwell. I like his receiving yards. I mean, dude, I don't know how you take Jalen Warren off the field for Gainwell. Granted, they did it with Najee Harris for years, so I guess that's how. But Gainwell has a massive role, and we know that Aaron Rodgers is 100% fine checking that ball down 30 times a game. So, I mean, his yards are just they're too low for a guy who legitimately, I don't think it's the most likely scenario, but he could catch like 6 or 7 balls. Like I don't know. It's just too low. And Baltimore is legitimately bad against receiving running backs. Like I think they give up like the 6th most receiving yards per game to running backs. It's a good spot for him. I think that I can't believe we're in, what is it, week 14, week 15, and 14. Kenneth Gainwell, his props have made the show. It's upsetting, but you got to find the value.
Keith?
I like the Baltimore tight ends here, both of them. We've been begging for more Isaiah Likely volume. We finally saw it. Now, granted, they did get the absolute best matchup in the NFL last week against the Bengals for tight ends, but the Steelers are a pretty good matchup as well. They've allowed the 6th most receiving yards to tight ends. Likely is down around 25.5. Andrews is at like 33.5. I think both of those numbers are too low in a really good matchup here. I think the easiest way to beat the Steelers is through the tight ends, and we've seen Baltimore use the tight ends a ton in the past.
I really do like that. Luch, anything here?
Yeah, like Derrick Henry rushing yards. I mean, he got game scripted out, and then the last 3 drives of that game against the Bengals, I don't think he had a carry. Ali was in kind of getting mop-up work at that point. He was still Henry had 10 carries, 60 yards. I mean, 6 yards a pop. I know the Bengals are a travesty defensively. But Pittsburgh, you can run on Pittsburgh. I mean, look what James Cook and Joe Brady were doing to them last weekend. It's really bad when Tony Romo is calling exactly what's happening and, questioning why the defense is lining up where it's lining up, like, immediately. And they just kept doing it. Like, I know Steelers fans want Mike Tomlin's head, but maybe you should get rid of Terrell Austin first. I don't think he was ever really like that good anyway. He was the one calling the defense, and then you hire freaking Arthur Smith on the other side. Like, I know Mike Tomlin catches a lot of heat for consistently winning 8 or 9 games, but Bales, you just talked about quarterbacks and rookie contracts. They've been stuck in this like purgatory of having no money because they're spending on everyone else, and then having to find the aging 1-year, 2-year vet minimum, Ryan Tannehill type. Here's Aaron Rodgers. Let's try a flyer on Justin Fields, some other, broken projects from other teams that they can get cheap. And they keep picking 15th, 16th because they're either just making the playoffs or just missing it. And they can't get up in that lottery to get a stud quarterback. And they aren't bad enough to get one. So it's a good time of the year for my team to completely suck, knowing that, it's going to have a lottery pick. And while my Steelers friends here in PA are probably going to miss the playoffs, I said, hope you had fun in September and October. What are you looking forward to now? I mean, just an outsider perspective here, I don't think Mike Tomlin is the biggest problem. I think it's an organizational thing, and they should have hit the reset button a year or 2 ago. Remember there was rumors about TJ Watt last year? I heard the Bears were kind of a little smoke there a year or 2 ago. I don't know. I'm just saying it might have sucked in the short term, but it could have turned the Steelers around. So I hate, you talked about Baltimore tight ends. I hate anything prop wise with the Steelers because you don't know which freaking tight end it's going to be. They're a low volume attack, and they're just a mess right now, man. They're a nightmare.
I don't understand why they just – I feel like they should build the entire team out of Darnell Washington at this point. I mean, have you seen this guy's highlights? When he gets the ball in his hands, he looks like he could eat Derrick Henry.
He really does.
Especially like late in the season. Like no one – who's going to want to tackle that guy?
Who can tackle him?
The two real quick things about this game that are pretty crazy, I thought. One is just like super weird to me, but one is Aaron Rodgers' ADOT is like 6.4 yards. It is disgusting. It's oh man, I don't know how. I'm starting to think like Mason Rudolph might be the better option because at least he'll take the shots or whatever. But the second thing is 3 years, $39 million for Mark Andrews, and I made some jokes about it because to me, I don't know. It's felt like Mark Andrews has been in the NFL for so long. It's ridiculous. And I actually like just looked up his age the other day and the dude's younger than me because I was like, why are you giving him 3 years, $39 million? That's like so limiting for your all. And then I was like, oh, the dude's literally just turned 30. Like that was mind blowing. I thought he was legit like close to 35 years old.
But it still sucks though because somebody free Isaiah. When's likely a free agent? I'd love to see him in a tight end centric offense where he's the number one guy.
Someone that will use him.
Pittsburgh will scoop him right up. They don't care what the cost is. I mean, You have such a low ADOT guy. You bring in Jonnu Smith, who Mike McDaniel gave you the blueprint. Well, he gives you the blueprint on how to use any tight end he picks up that he likes. But Jonnu Smith is the guy you can scheme things for. And I don't know, Arthur Smith has, he's infatuated with the tight end position too. And I thought the Jonnu Smith thing would be a perfect marriage. Here's a quarterback who likes to 3-step drop and throw screens. And here's Jonnu Smith, who is a mismatch at his position. You can line him up everywhere. And they just don't freaking want. When you have Pat Freiermuth, you got to give him the ball. God forbid you don't, right? No offense to Pat Freiermuth, but Jonnu Smith is the playmaker outside of DK Metcalf and the ascending Darnell Washington for sure. But Jonnu Smith has legit skills, and the whole thing is just backwards right now.
I've talked myself into Darnell Washington, by the way. I just looked; he's 2,600 on DraftKings. So there we go. That's where I'll be losing my money this week. Next game, which I understand, I'm hearing from my sources that Vladimir Putin is using this to try to break some prospective American spies into spilling all their secrets. The Browns, 3.5-point favorites over the Titans in Cleveland, 33.5 total. 33.5 total.
Ooh, give me the under.
And nobody had anything to say pregame on this one. The only thing that I could say here, how about Juggins over rushing attempts, whatever it is, because I figured that's what's going to happen.
That's the only thing I even considered here is Juggins.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's probably going to touch it 20 times. I'm looking what the attempts are right now.
I'm going to bet 17.5. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. If I'm right, I'll be happy.
Try 21.5.
21.5.
You can't even bet that. The over probably hits, but you can't even bet that.
I don't think I've ever seen that number. Holy shit. All right. Well, the hell with that. Yeah. I mean, how about Cleveland sacks? How many sacks can we bet on a sack for Cleveland? Because this game is just what a nightmare. What a nightmare.
If I'm betting anything, it's going to be Gunnar Helm. They made a point to get him more involved after the bye week. Let me tell you an indictment on Chigakonkwo. I swear to God, if the Titans re-sign Chigakonkwo, it takes many, 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 many people to make a team good, and he's not one of them. He ranks dead last out of 76 qualified tight ends in run blocking. Last year, he was 82nd out of 82. How are you that bad at run blocking?
Are you using him to run block though? You're not.
He's not
He run blocked once this year.
Oh, he's not lining up in line. He's not lining up exclusively in the slot. But he's just a classic example of things that are bad. I mean, it's he. I know some Maryland football. He was Maryland, right? Was the Conco Maryland, but he was kind of a flop in the grand scheme of things too. He was supposed to be this big yak guy coming out of college, and he's been pretty bad. I mean, you can't trust anyone on this team now. DK's number's really low, but he is so hit or miss. This is just an atrocious football game. We should look up the interceptions number. I thought that was fun a couple of weeks ago. I'm very curious what the Sanders and the Cam Ward INT numbers are. I don't have them in front of me.
I just looked up
minus a billion.
I just looked up how often Okonkwo does play inline. It's a mind-blowing number. Whoever is making these calls for Tennessee, he needs to lose his job. It's almost 50% of his snaps.
Thank you. Right. Yep. These teams have analytic people, right? I mean, we're not the sharpest tools in the shed. We're a bunch of tools, but it's wow, he is bad at run block. Let's keep putting him on the effing line, right? Why not? You only have your franchise quarterback. And guess who's in town this week? Oh, Myles Garrett. This is going to end well. Cool. Just hit the under.
Well, I
bet the minus $1 million INT prop.
What are they screwing around with Chig and Van Jefferson? Getting why don't you just play the guys that maybe are going to be part of the team? In 2 years.
I am actually extremely disappointed that fan favorite, actually probably America favorite of undrafted free agent Xavier Restrepo was carted off last week after finally playing a little bit. That made me sad. This game sucks. Let's just keep going.
Yes, I'm done. Potential game of the week in Buffalo. Bills 5.5-point favorites over the visiting Bengals. Thought the line was a little low. 53.5 total. Big number. We might have a snow during the game. This is shaping up as a fun one. Bales, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think you can go several ways in this game. I think like Josh Allen makes sense. I think that the tight ends obviously make sense. But the big thing that I like is James Cook, and mainly because Buffalo just showed us last week that if James Cook is hot, they'll just give him the ball. He had 32 carries against Pittsburgh. You add in like a little bit of weather issue, and that's kind of your easiest path to win. Obviously, Cincinnati, you can beat them defensively any way that you want. They don't stop basically anything. So I think that if you're on a site that does like fantasy points, I think James Cook's really good there because I would assume he gets in for a touchdown. If not, you can go rushing and receiving or just rushing. I think they're all good, really. My only major concern for that is obviously he just had 32 carries last week. And with the playoffs coming up, one, you don't want, a star running back like James Cook to go in hurt or go in beat up or whatnot. But also, like on the flip side, Buffalo is still playing for the playoffs. Like they're not like this super locked into their seat and whatnot. So really, they're probably going to be trying to get the wins that they can. And obviously, at this point, Cincinnati is no longer just like the team that's going to roll over. We saw that last week. So I do think that James Cook is a really good option here.
Keith?
I have one that I really like, but I know Luch is on it as well, and he brought it up first. So I'll let him speak a little bit more on that. But I just hope that the weather doesn't ruin this game because there should be a ton of points. If the weather holds, like I like the over in this spot, and it's already a big number. I think 53. But should be a lot of points. I'll let Luch talk about Chase Brown.
Yeah, I like Chase Brown. You get him at 50.5 rushing yards. I know he yielded a surprising amount of work to Samaje Perine. I don't know. I know people in the industry might be split on this one, but if it's chalky, I'm going to take the over. I like it. I mean, we've seen Buffalo get gashed time after time. While they've been slightly improved, they're still bottom third of the league in allowing yards before contact per attempt and, things that matter around the line of scrimmage. Joe Burrow only helps this entire offense, even the run game here. So 6-point spread. We just saw Cincy give Baltimore a beat down. I wouldn't even be shocked. Would anyone be shocked if Bengals won outright in this one? Buffalo has not been playing, by any means good football lately either. So I know it's tough. Buffalo's at home, right? But I think the Bengals are pretty live Sunday.
That's it. We're done on this game. All right. Yeah, I mean, it should be a fun game, right? It should be a fun game. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see the Bengals come in and play well. All right, let's go to who are the Broncos playing here? I wrote it down. Raiders. I can't read my handwriting. This is the Raiders. Here we go. 7.5 point underdogs, the home Raiders, as the Broncos come to town. 40.5 total. Keith, is the Pat Bryant breakout from week 13 for real?
I mean, the only reason I'm even on this is they were on an island game as a Sunday night football game or something like that. And I was writing about the game and I was looking into receiver usage really hard for some reason. And it's like, wow, this Pat Bryant dude is playing a lot now. 71% of the snaps, I believe it was last week. He's been over 40 receiving yards in 4 of the last 5 weeks. And his number is 24.5 receiving yards. I don't understand. Like it's 10 yards too low, at least. Over 24.5 receiving yards for Pat Bryant.
Love it. Bales, you got anything in this game?
No, I don't like this game very much. I think that's a sharp call. I also think if like you're dying, like you say you're a Raiders fan or something, Brock Bowers has a fine number. It was 63.5 or high 50s. So somewhere right around there. It's like a super reasonable number for Bowers. It's just like you obviously can't trust anyone for Las Vegas. And on the other side, I don't know what to do with Denver. I think Keith made a sharp call there just because of the volume and how much he's playing, but there's not really much I like here.
Now, let me ask you guys this for my own purposes. If you had to play the 3,700 Browns defense or the 3,900 Denver defense, who do you choose this week at DraftKings?
Browns.
Yeah, probably the Browns.
Agree.
Yeah, I've been leaning that way myself. All right. Anything you like here, Luch? How about this? I'll throw this out there before you speak. Is this maybe a chance for the Broncos to give some confidence to RJ Harvey and get him rolling on the ground? Get the man 20 carries?
I don't think so. I like RJ Harvey a lot. The Raiders have been like surprisingly pretty good defensively around the line of scrimmage for being a pretty bad football team. I actually like the Pat Bryant call a lot. I think he actually outsnapped Troy Franklin last week. So, and Marvin Mims continues. I know he missed a couple weeks, but he continues to be a non-factor, which is pretty surprising after all the offseason hype and everything positive you heard about Marvin Mims' role. I like the Pat Bryant call a lot. So that's it's hard to trust anyone in this offense. So let's get the low number on a guy that's ascending while we can. So good call, Keith.
All right, let's go to the primetime props game of the week here. Packers, 6.5-point home favorites over the visiting Bears, 44.5. Keith, we'll start with you.
So I think the Bears are going to come in and just try to run the football, and they might be able to do it. Green Bay is a really good run defense. I think Green Bay has the best defense in football. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to run, but I didn't think they would be able to run against Philly either. And they absolutely kicked their ass at the line of scrimmage. Like their offensive line dominated that entire game. So I'm not sure they're not going to be able to rack up 40 carries here again, and that might be what they try to do. No Roma Dunze in this game. There's going to need to be a wide receiver step up. I think how the Bears will play this is they move Zacchaeus back onto the field in the slot, and Burden plays outside in Roma Dunze's role, and DJ Moore kind of stays put where he's at. And if that's the case, Luther Burden is going to go way over 39.5 yards. It's just too low of a number for a guy who should be the number one receiver in the spot, in my opinion. Maybe that doesn't quite play out like that, and they do some things with DJ Moore. But I think that Luther Burden is just – if the Bears can have success, that's the one caveat here, is the Packers, Micah Parsons just might wreck the entire game, and the Bears might not be able to have success. But Burden, in seeing the field the most he's seen all season long, I think is pretty much a lock here. 51% of the snaps. His role's been growing anyway. He slides into that wide receiver one role in this spot.
What do you say, Bells?
Yeah, my big issue with this game is that Green Bay obviously is dealing with some defensive injuries. I think it's going to make it way easier than it should be to run the ball. And I agree with Keith that Chicago's initial game plan is probably going to be see if they can just hand the ball off as much as possible. I actually think that there's a very real chance, with Wyatt is hurt, Walker's hurt, Van Ness has already been ruled out. Like they're dealing with a lot of injuries that are very specific to the run. I think that they're probably going to be able to run it a little bit. Now, I do agree Burden's a pretty decent number. I don't really have any issues with that. And I also think that Chicago is going to have to, at some point, probably throw the ball because I think Green Bay is going to score. And realistically, like Green Bay still has a very good defense, even with guys hurt. It's not like we saw them last week against Detroit, and they had guys out that game too. So I don't have any issues with that. I think what I'm looking at, kind of funny that Keith's on the Bears, guys. I'm on Green Bay's. Josh Jacobs, he has a very, very reasonable number. I do agree that Chicago's getting healthier, not taking that away from them. I still think healthy Chicago, you can run against them. Green Bay wants to run the ball. Jacobs, actually, I don't want to say I was shocked that he played on Thursday because he was trying to play the Sunday before and they just kind of didn't let him. They let him heal up a little bit longer. But for the first time, basically this entire season, he actually looked like relatively explosive. He had his longest run of the season. He had, was going for 10 yards carry for some carries. Like he actually looked relatively good. And I don't like using the eye test very much, but for a while we said that Jacobs didn't look explosive. And that's when like Emmanuel Wilson came in and he did. And now in that Detroit game, Jacobs actually looked a little bit better. And I don't know if, he got some extra time off, his body healed up a little bit better, but I do think that Green Bay is going to be able to run this ball. And Jacobs, pretty clearly, if they were willing to play him on a short week where he was dealing with minimally the week before an injury, they gave him a ton of touches. Like they're going to give it to him as many times as they possibly can. And I think that'll probably be 20 plus. So I think we're getting a good number on him this week.
I mean, what I'm kind of hearing from both of you is that if both teams manage to do what they want to do, this game is going to go under.
Yeah, that was what I was hearing too.
Yeah.
Well, what says you about Christian Watson? Since week 8, out of any receiver who's ran at least 25 routes, he's 5th in the NFL with a 19.5 ADOT, big number. And he's top 12 in air yard share at 41%. So I understand maybe the opportunities could be limited if they can run the game. But I feel, I know Chicago's defense is getting a little bit healthier, Keith, as you alluded to earlier in the show as well. But Watson has taken back over as the guy. Pretty underrated, cool story from a guy who had a lot of issues. Like one leg was longer than the other one, some crap like that. Like he's been through some stuff, but damn, he looks good. So what are your guys' Christian Watson thoughts?
I agree with you that he's the top wide receiver here. I think the Bears secondary is awesome now that it's healthy. Like I'd be a little bit concerned about that. Maybe you could interest me in like an over 19.5 longest reception or something like that. I don't know what it is, but if it's in that range, I'd be interested in that.
I think we have a guy who's a little too high on Chicago's second.
Let's see.
Now, I think
it's been too long since you've seen Jalen Johnson play cornerback, sir.
Yeah, but Jalen Johnson's not going into the slot, and the big thing about
Christian Watson, you know better.
Yeah, Christian Watson played more than 50% of his snaps last week in the slot. Most people, it's granted that's not been like this super trend all year, but it's very clear that Green Bay, they're not. Christian Watson's no longer run straight down the field, throw the ball as deep as possible. He's running more nuanced routes. He's getting different types of targets. That's not to say that I love Christian Watson in this game. I actually do agree with Keith. I think that Chicago's secondary is pretty good.
I also think Josh Jacobs is going to tear him apart on the ground.
Yeah,
so
we
can admit where our team's weaknesses are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be limited. I do think that Christian Watson is actually turning into like a very good receiver, which kind of sucks as a Green Bay fan because I wanted him to continue to kind of pull the BS that he's been pulling, and Matthew Golden was a nice little slide in there. But now that Watson looks legitimately good, you have to make the decision of do you re-sign him at the end of the year? And at that point, what do you do with Matthew Golden type deal? But I don't know. That's a different tangent. That's a different run, and I don't want to keep us here for the next 30 minutes on it.
Christian Watson.
Real quick though, as far as Watson goes, I know Reed and Golden are limited and questionable. What's your gut on that, Bales? Do you think they're going to be up for the game?
Yeah, it looks like Reed plays. Golden, I'm not 100% sure on, and truth be told, I don't know how big of a role Golden's coming back to. Like Dobbs isn't losing his snaps. Watson's not losing his snaps. If Reed comes back, that's going to push Wicks a little bit. And realistically, I'm not sure Wicks is losing most of his snaps to Golden anyway. So like there's a real chance that when all of them are healthy, Golden comes back to the wide receiver 5. And don't get me wrong, they'll rotate them. It's not like they're going to 100% keep him off the field and whatnot, but I think that Watson's role is probably the safest. And then I think once he comes back, Reed's role is going to be basically just as safe.
All right.
I would like the longest reception Watson call. I had to look at this again. The 4 guys ahead of Christian Watson with higher ADOT since week 8 have only combined for 22 targets between the 4 of them. And Watson has 34 targets. So if he does catch one, it's probably going to cover that number. Also, I can already see it now. This is going to be a game that the Packers win like 17-14 and Jordan Love throws for 152 yards and 1 touchdown. And Bell's like, that's my QB1, elite tier.
The guy gets the job done is what we're saying.
Yep. Win's a win, baby. Yep.
He'll probably go like 12 of 14 and Luch will be like, yeah, but Jacobs ran in 3 touchdowns from the 1. It's Jacobs.
I'm just giving you crap. I think he's a fine quarterback. I think Caleb Williams is fine too. I think both guys, have room to still grow too into the league. Christian Watson has Tennessee Titan written all over him. Oh, a receiver looking for a second contract who's often injured. Christian Watson, come on down to Nashville. calling it right now. So.
All right, last game on the slate in Arizona, Cardinals 8.5-point underdogs to the horrible, terrible, no good Rams. 47.5 is the total. Keith, you think the Rams are going to go to their run game here, huh?
Yeah, they got embarrassed last week. I think they're going to come out and just put it on the Cardinals early and often. Blake Corum's been mixing in a little bit, so that's gives me slight pause, but I still love Kyron Williams in this spot. The number is 62.5. I like the over on Kyron Williams rushing yards in a game. I think the Rams win pretty easily.
I like it. Bales, you got anything?
Yeah, now that Marvin Harrison Jr. has been ruled out, Michael Wilson, his last 2 games without Harrison playing, 15 and 18 targets. They're going to be losing. They're going to be throwing the ball. Brissett's at least like a reasonable option. He's not good, but he can get them the ball. I don't necessarily know if I would prefer his yards, which is 67.5, like right around there. It's not a bad number, but he said at 5.5 receptions. And like a dude that just had 15 and 18 targets, like you don't even need to be half decent to beat 5.5 receptions on that volume.
Yeah, and they're passing at a pretty high neutral rate in the league too. So even if this game is fairly close for a duration, they're going to be passing. And yeah, we're done calling him Michael because he's Mike. If you're balling, you're Mike. He's balling out. Greg Dortch is out too. It's like Michael Porter. I'm calling Michael Porter Mike Porter now because he's freaking balling in Brooklyn. Granted, these are two guys on very bad teams, very, very bad teams. That being said, you know where the volume's going. Look for Mike Wilson to have a big day. Heard it here second or third, but I'll take the credit.
I mean, but by that calculus, I guess I should be going by Jeffrey. All right, that does it for us. Let's go around the horn. Our best bets. I'll start because I was, as you were saying it, Bales, I was looking it up. 5.5 catches for Big Mike Wilson all day long. Love it. And as a result of that, Bales, I'm going to throw it to you.
Let me get. That's tough. I'm going to go Tyler Warren receiving yards. I was highly debating him or Daniel Jones. Let me get Tyler Warren's receiving yards.
Keith?
I will go Devin Neal's receiving yards over 16.5 against one of the biggest funnel defenses in the league.
Love it. Luch, take us home.
Going back to A.D. Mitchell. It's not even 50 yards. I mean, he's the guy right now for Tyrod Taylor and the Jets. So nothing makes me feel better than betting on a New York Jet on Sunday. So that's it. All right. Jeff, did you say your bet? I zoned out there.
Yeah, Michael Wilson. Mike Wilson's
right.
over 5.5. Yeah.
That's right. Big.
Tell everyone to like and subscribe and all that shit.
Oh yeah, like and subscribe and all that stuff. If you guys don't mind. But seriously, appreciate it. Got about 300 of you watching. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Get on over there, give our YouTube channel a free follow, and we appreciate you guys. And yeah, catch us on Twitter and check out our content at props.com. So for Jeff, Keith, and Justin, I am also Justin. Have a good weekend. Good luck, everybody, and thanks for tuning in.